Hey everyone, this is James, and it is about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is my 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. This is BTC USDT on the Binance exchange, so that's exactly where these numbers are coming from. I got quite a few lines on the chart, but I'm going to explain the reasoning behind everything. What I like to do every video is first offer the disclaimer that this is not investment advice. Second, I like to just go over where we were. Okay, and we've been in this downtrend since December 6th or 15th. We broke out of it, and then we started to make an uptrend move from the 6,000 bottom right here. The other thing I like to talk about is that if you look at the chart to the left, there's a lot of volatility, a lot of price action. You can see that the whipsawing around, and then you can see how more muted this side is, the right side. So there's definitely a change in the fluctuation between buyers and sellers as this market is starting to mature more. Basically, the purple line set you see here is the downtrend line set that we have broken. So I'm just going to gray that out for right now in the video. You can see the red line set, that is the new line set. So what we had was we had a uptrend that we were following since the 6,000. If you've seen my prior videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We broke that uptrend, okay? I moved to another uptrend line set to try to find a potential bottom in price movement. However, we've also broken that line set as well too, which is this green line set you see here. There may be a return to this line set, but we will have to find out as time progresses. It looks like we've kind of already tried to make that attempt right here, but we're held down by the red line set. Now, the significance of the red line set is showing that the price is reacting to a negative slope. So that's what these line sets show. They show the frequency that price is reacting to, and obviously this is not a good indicator of what price is reacting to. So when we broke down here earlier today, okay, I talked about how this was the old line set right here. Let me zoom in real quick, so then that way if anybody's new, they know exactly what I'm talking about, and you've not seen my prior videos. The old line set came through here, okay? This is where I thought we were going to have a potential bottom. I was talking that there was going to be a potential for the mid-12,000 range and possibly into the mid-13,000s. However, I said if this gets broken, it will be brutal, and it was extremely brutal because up here was where I was talking about that we were going to potentially make a new high right here, okay? And then that was going to lead into that 12,500, that 13,000, mid-13,000 range, and etc. However, what we did was we failed. We broke through the line set with conviction, with a gigantic downrange bar. And then not only that, but the second line set that was going to be for a positive bullish case in Bitcoin also got destroyed by another long range bar. So this bar, this asset Bitcoin is continuously going to the downside, and the surprises are to the downside as of right now. Now, yes, we've made a gigantic move from the top here at roughly 11,700, right? Just rough estimate real quick. And we've fallen down to 9,000, right? So that's like 2,700 points we've lost, and that's a huge loss for the market. A monstrous loss for the market in just a couple days. Okay, here it was March 5th, and not 3 days later, we're already that far down. Now, I do believe that there's more than likely, like I talked about in my prior video, which I thought we were going to get today, was what I call the Guppy rally, where you get a bunch of individuals who buy the bottom, okay? Remember, this is not investment advice, and this is not guaranteed to happen, because I talked about it yesterday. But I said typically when markets have these gigantic vertical movements, downward and upwards, they typically get retraced. Not necessarily fully, but about maybe anywhere between 50 to about 75% of the retracement. However, due to the way that price is reacting to this, the most that I see price going would be to roughly maybe in the mid-10,000 range, and then from there rolling over. And when it does roll over, it should be extremely should be extremely volatile the same way that this price action has been here. Okay, so this is a significant red flag that price does not want to create the uptrend quite yet. Price is still trying to find its bottom. Now, there's a reason why I got a couple orange lines out here. The first one is the prior bottom, which we smashed right through, and now we're just holding right above it. The second is the entry to where price had to fight through in order to start this rally up to the 11,786 zone, okay, which is very close to where the buyers came in on this bar right here. So what's the significance of that bar? When we look at it, hang on real quick, elongate the charts. Okay, we have a gigantic long-range bar, and it doesn't show it as much on the 4-hour chart as it does on the 30-minute chart, but we did not close on the bottom, which is a positive sign, and we've also come back into the 9,300 zone. Let me pop over to the 30-minute chart real quick, so that way we can kind of see. There we go. All right, so and the same thing. So we had a giant downrange bar for Bitcoin, and then we had another long range bar. We finished right in the middle and decided to go over, showing that the sellers started to dry up quickly in here, and now we're starting to consolidate in there as buyers start to enter into this market, and basically price is trying to find a bottom. It may find a temporary bottom here. Okay, so that's why I zoomed in on this to show you. I'm going to go back to the 4-hour chart real quick, and then let me just refresh the chart real quick. All right, so we may be finding a temporary bottom here for a little relief rally that I believe is what I call the Guppy rally, to where all the small retail traders jump in thinking this is the new run up. And then what happens is the whales come in and just gobble them all up. And what that causes is more downward movement. Because as the little guppies come in with their little orders, then they get dumped into, and guess what happens? They don't have enough buying power to sustain what's about to happen. And then price rolls over, creates one more leg down. Now, I've talked about this in my prior videos, that we could make another leg down, that the other leg down could potentially put us into the mid-8s, okay? If we keep up this downward movement, for example, if we cannot break above this roughly 95, 9600 area and continue to trade higher, and we continue moving downward, it's going to be absolutely devastating for the market, because we can easily shave off about another 1,000 points to about 8,000. From there, if we do not use this old support from the old downtrend, and we burst through, we could easily see the 7s. So now that's an extreme case. The probability of that is maybe around 40%. All right, it's still a probability, but traversing that distance after this right here, I imagine it's actually less than 40%, but typically the traveling between the lines is about 40% on average after we've already crashed from one to the other. So where we're at now, this point, is a very crucial point, because there's a possibility that we could start a small run up that'll create the little Guppy run, and then one more leg down to create the long-term structure that I've talked about in my prior videos. If you've been a follower of mine for quite a while now, I've been talking about a lower low than this area, okay? But it would not break the 6,000 level. So what I originally thought was that we would enter into roughly the 8s to mid-7s, create a higher low, but create a more longer-term uptrend structure for the market. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened there, but anyways, that would basically, what that would show, like on a big picture analysis, right? So let's look at the big picture here, because I think people hear me say 8,000, 7,000, and they start freaking out thinking it's the end of the world, right? Let's look at like 7,7 is right here, roughly, where this pink line is, right? If we could get a low somewhere in there, the market would then have a nice, slow, and steady curve upward. A nice slope upward to where the market is no longer as volatile as it used to be, okay, which I know as a trader, people are going to be upset, like even thinking about that future possibility. But what it would do is add integrity to the market, the same way like when you look at the stock market. Imagine if the NASDAQ was doing this crazy stuff all the time. People would be freaking out. Like, what would you do? Like, nobody would want to put their retirement in there. Okay, traders would enter in, speculators would enter in and stay in. But how are you going to have people that want to invest for their retirement and etc. believe in a market that has this wild and crazy volatility? Now, obviously, during the maniac phase, right, where the media went buck wild, and we know exactly what the media did, and shame on them because they suckered in so many people that had no idea even what a Bitcoin was to literally leverage in their credit cards, mortgages, and other ridiculous stuff, and those people got caught in this maniac area. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but basically the whole reasoning behind that is that if we do create this higher low, and it is at a less vertical slope, okay, I'm talking about just a nice subtle lift up, something like you would see in the chart of the NASDAQ, the Dow, the S&P, something like that would, I believe, bring stability to the cryptocurrency market. During this down leg, we could possibly knock out a bunch of altcoins, which I think would be a huge positive for the market, especially when you got 1,500 coins plus already now. I mean, come on, your head is spinning around trying to figure out what coin to invest in next. And once that occurs, okay, now this is just my opinion, okay. Once that occurs, I think we could stabilize the market, improve the integrity of the market, start to watch bigger money flow into the market the same way you would see the hundreds of billions of dollars traded in the U.S. stock market, fiat, and etc. Okay, so that is kind of what I think may be occurring here. If we break this 6,000 bottom, then you can just delete this video and just don't even watch it again, because it'll just be a sad story at that point. If we break the 6,000 bottom, we will head significantly lower. And some people think, like, great, I can lower the boat at that point, but you're not looking at the overall picture. If we start breaking down that low, what do you think is going to happen to the psychology of the market? Do you think that big investors, okay, now I come from a background of trading and managing tens of millions of dollars, not significant money, right? Significant money that moves in this market is hundreds of millions to hundreds of billions. Okay, those are the hundreds of millions are like the small transactions, right, that occur in the like the stock market and etc. But basically no one in their right mind, okay, that I've ever learned from, and I've learned from people that manage, as low as in the tens of millions of dollars to the hundreds of billions of dollars for sovereign wealth funds and etc. So you're talking about people that have traded on behalf of countries entrust hundreds of billions of dollars to these individuals to make well-executed decisions based on their analysis, okay? And you're not going to have somebody say, oh, this looks like a great opportunity for me to take my $100 billion and dump it into. You get what I'm saying? When you look at this chart like this, who in the right mind, this is all speculation at that point if we knock out this 6,000 bottom. Okay, it will be a devastating move to the market if we create a lower low, right? I've never heard or learned from anybody who's ever managed any significant amount of money that has ever said, when you see a lower low, you buy. Never in my entire life, in over 9 years, I've never heard that, okay? And I imagine the people that did say that aren't even around, and that's why you don't hear from them. So, there is a possible outcome that we could recover if we do break the 6,000. It's not necessarily the nail in the coffin. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that if we start to traverse very rapidly to the downside and we knock out this 6,000 low, that is not a time to jump into the market. There may be some get volatile spikes, but it's not a time. You have to let things just rest, let things settle, and then make your your educated decision there. Kind of like when we hit the bottom around 6,000, right here. This would have been the smart time to get in. Now at that time, I thought we were going to make another move lower, and then I had to switch my tune relatively quickly as I realized we were not going to. But this is kind of something that you would want to see in the market. Like you would want to see a sharp decline, and then a nice stable region, and then right in here, you could take a bet, and you could also have some price action to put a stop loss under. But that's just me going on a broader range. Okay, this video is up to 15 minutes out. I'm hoping that everybody's still with me. I'm trying to talk about the longer term picture here, and then the reasoning for my analysis bringing us into the 8s and possibly mid-7 range. Okay, it's not the nail in the coffin for Bitcoin. However, if we do break through the 6,000 zone, I do not believe that in any way, shape, or form is a great thing to invest in at that point. Okay, I do not think that possibility is on the table right now. Right, we would have to have some serious downside movement. But anyways, I don't want to prolong the video any longer. But what I'm waiting for is essentially the Guppy run to the whale dump, where the whales come in and destroy all the little guppies, and price is going to fall down one more time. Right, the only thing that's going to negate that is if we break the red line at roughly 10,500. Otherwise, we'll continue lower to the 8s or mid-7 range, and then from there create a nice subtle uptrend structure that will bring the integrity to the market, that I think will bring in big money in the future into the market. Now, there's already big money of investors who started out in Bitcoin and have amassed, and have amassed a serious amount of wealth. Okay, when you talk about the Winklevoss twins, or however exactly you say their name, and etc., that have put their money in early into Bitcoin and are now riding this, okay, that's great for them. But you got to understand that they may be looking at the long-term picture, and most of the people that are watching these videos are looking at the short-term picture. So I'm trying to talk more about the short-term, but then also focus on the long-term. And I don't think necessarily the market's going to go away unless they are the ones dumping into this. Okay, if they are the ones dumping into this, and I don't know what the disclosure is in this market at all, because the cryptocurrency market is the Wild Wild West, and if they're dumping into it, I guarantee you, you're not going to find out probably for at least 6 months to a year unless there is a specific way to track those transactions and link them specifically to them, okay? So I'm not a cryptocurrency guru. I don't know exactly how easy it is to track those positions, but I do know in the stock market, it's very easy to hide your buy and sell orders, especially if you run them through different exchanges and so forth. So it is what it is. But the reasoning behind that is that if there is major dumping from these original investors, then I do think it would not be a good sign for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency going into the future, right? So this is going to become a very long video. I'm just trying to cover all the bases here and make this as educational of a video as possible. I do not think we're headed below the 6,000 range. I do think we'll settle somewhere in the 8 to mid-7 range, and then build that uptrend structure that will build the integrity of the market, that will attract new big money into the market and push the market upward, like you would see the Nasdaq, the S&P, the Dow, fiat currency, and etc. Okay. Very sorry for taking this much of your time. I'm hoping you found the video educational. If you did, please give it a like. Please subscribe, follow me, share the video. If you found it helpful. Also, provide your feedback too if there's anything you want me to improve on or to talk about. But that is it for Bitcoin tonight, and I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope everybody has a great night or a great day, depending on where you are in the